Alright, so in this tutorial, this will be for tutorial 11 for the MicroWorld. And here is the agenda list. First thing we're going to do is fix the UV stretching, which I'm going to show in a moment. And I'll try to explain what that is. Then, well, create the infinity wall. Well, you as the student, you need to create the infinity wall. I have a tutorial set up for it, specifically just for that. And then you're gonna import the infinity wall into your scene. And you're gonna, after that, assign the AI shadow matte shader. And then assign a color. And set it to the background color, which I'm gonna talk about. Alright, then you're gonna experiment with the AI shadow matte shaders, diffuse, and specular to get a visual look that you like. Then create an AI mix shader, of which you're gonna connect the Ambient Occlusion shader. And well, you're gonna connect it, but you're also gonna learn about it. And also connect that to your MicroWorld cube shader, which you're gonna learn all about that. Then there's to create a bump map for the side walls in Photoshop. The bump map is gonna be based off of the texture, your texture map for your side walls. Then you're gonna use it for your MicroWorld cubes walls, and you're gonna assign it to the shader. And then finally, you're going to create a lighting setup for your project. If it takes longer, I might cut up the project into 2, depending how it goes. So yeah, we're gonna go from there. Okay, and we'll go step by step. Okay, so here's my scene from where I left off. And I have here the wall. Currently it is at its default, I guess, shading mode, you could say. Because there's your regular surface. Let me set this to shading. Use default material. Ooh, that's worse. Shading. How am I going to explain this? So, this is how it looks like when with no smoothing. Okay, and smoothing is where your 3D model, you can look in 2 ways. It's regular state, which is now, okay, and also what we call the smoothed state, which is when you select it and you press 3, the 3 key number. See how it changed? And if you want to go back to the regular faceted model, press 1. So it's a subtle difference. Here's 1, where it's just, you know, regular how you're used to seeing it. And then 3, and it just smooths it. So you have a smoother surface. They call this smooth proxy. So it basically changes the, I guess, the surface algorithm, blah, 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 to make it nice and smooth, especially useful and needed for characters. But this is what happens. It causes it to stretch at the seams. So in order to fix that, obviously first you have to set it to 3, as in the smooth. And there's a new option that I haven't shown yet, which is you go to the attribute editor. Under the shape tab, whatever your model's name, and right in front of it is going to be called shape, not polysurface shape 1 or any of this other stuff. These are just the history of your model. So let's say if I go, I don't need any of this right now anymore. So if I delete history, edit, delete by type, history, and wipes out everything. And then when I go back to my attribute editor, some of this other stuff is here, which is necessary for like the UVs and stuff. Anyhow, the main one is this. This is the tab directly related to the surface models. You could say geometry, it's surface, mesh. Anyway, you got all these tabs. And the one we're looking for, mesh controls. Nope. Tangent, nope. Smooth. Is it this one? Yeah. Alright, so we open smooth mesh. And then there's a sub menu, which you can see the alignment is off, but it looks almost like you can't notice it. So it can be a little confusing. So smooth mesh and open subdiv controls. Open the subdivision controls. Subdivision is basically the smooth proxy to make it look all nice and smooth. It's a fancy word for what it is, smooth, which is open subdivision. Call it subdivision proxy, blah blah. And right now I have it set to sharp edges and corners. Okay, so I think it's under UV boundary smoothing. Right now it's set to Maya Catmull Clark. This is all back in the day stuff, the definitions and wording. Yeah, I think these are all named after the people who designed 3D. Like the last name, I think, from what I remember. Anyway, so let me see. Let's say none. Ooh, nope. Preserve edges and corners. Bingo. That's the one. So you set it to preserve edges and corners and it will make it nice. I still have this, but that's from the texture. Having to kind of rush it, but a lot better than before. Much better. I can fix that up probably with something else. Hide it. Anyway, so you select it, attribute editor, pick your name. It has something called shape right next to it with a capital S. You go down to smooth mesh, you pop that open, and you go down to the sublayer called open subdiv controls. Set it to preserve edges and corners, and it smooths it out. And when I were to pop open the UV editor, which is here, it's under the poly modeling menu, and this guy, click it, and here it is, but that's the top. Go to UV sets, cube side walls, click, and when I zoom in, looks nice. Usually there's some skewing when you set it the wrong way. And let me just show it just for the hell of it. So let's say if I go back, so if you can see here, it's very nice. It should look weird when I go back to Maya Catmull Clark. See? I think this weird stuff has to do with the way the algorithm of the geometry, all kinds of science stuff involved or whatever. Just looks like crap. So you click it, preserve edges and corners. Boom. Nice. Very nice. Okay, so that's that. Alright, let me get that off the list. Highlight it. Set it to red. Alright. Infinity wall. Well, that one You have to watch the tutorial for that, which is going to be I'm gonna show it right now. All right, it's gonna be here under side tutorial series Maya foundational stuff. Side tutorial notes 03, setting up the infinity wall and its importance. I go over more things about it, so you have to watch this. You're gonna make it, save it, and then you're gonna dump it into your scene, project scene. All right, so I went over that. Import the infinity wall into your scene. So, well, at least for PCs, I'll just do it old-fashioned way. I'm gonna pull this back, go back to my channel box. I'm gonna go to File, Import. Again, that was File, Import. And where is it? Yeah, Infinity Wall example, that's mine. All right. Okay, so here it is. So this is how it looks like. It's but it's above. See? So I'm gonna just press W for the move tool, which is way over there. And so for the new students that haven't been in my class, I'll go over this again. You press D as in David, and don't worry about this, just it's highlighting the faces. You press D as in David while you have it selected. This activates it so that you can move the pivot point or where the handle is. Right now it's all the way back here. So I'm gonna grab this one here, see, the one in blue. Now it changes color and carefully just drag it forward and only forward and place it there and let go. Then I'm just gonna press W. Again, I just press W to get out of it. Okay. So I'll just make so it's easier for me to just drag down. Right there. Look underneath. Boom. Very nice. Above, below. And like I mentioned, I don't like being blocked, the view. So I'm gonna go to shading, back face culling. Turn that back on by default. I think every time it just turns it off. So now I can see it. Very good. All right, I imported it in, gave it a crazy name. I'm gonna just name it, erase that. Boom, infinity wall. And then I'm gonna give it a layer, so don't mind this being highlighted. I have it selected. This has nothing to do with anything, it's just being highlighted. I can just press Control and left click to let it go so it doesn't confuse you guys. So I have it selected. I'm gonna click on this so it puts in there. See, remember, double click. It's gonna bring this edit layer. I'm gonna name it underscore infinity underscore wall underscore. Hit save. Okay, good. Next, I need to update my agenda list. Click. I need to assign the AI shadow matte shader. So I need my hypershade, which is here. Click. Bring it over. I'm going to stretch this out. I don't want any of this here. I'm going to press the 3 little stars. Click. It's all gone. And for those of you that are still new, let me go over the hypershade again. It's just a safe thing to do. I don't think I went over in the other tutorial anyway. But so under Arnold, well, you know what? Over here, let's press tab. T-A-B as in tab. And I think Macs have the same name, tab, I hope. It's the one above your caps key, right above your caps key. You know where you press to make it capital? Should say tab. So I press tab and I'm gonna type in AI shadow, and right there, click it. Made it for me. I'm gonna zoom in. Here it is. I'm gonna double click on it. Make sure it's highlighted in red, activated. I need to go to my attribute editor. Oh, before I do anything, I want to assign it. Because if I keep on talking, I'm going to forget about it. So I have my infinity wall selected. I'm going to go to my AI shadow matte shader. I'm going to right click on top of it and hold. Right click and hold. Assign material to viewport selection. Boom. Now it's completely in black, which is fine. Then, yeah, right now I want to reselect this so that's in red because we want to tinker with the AI shadow matte shader. And I'll talk about what the AI shadow matte shader is as well. Okay. Before we do anything, right now it's set to scene color under background. And as you can see, it looks totally different from your standard AI shader. You know, like, for example, this. This has all of this. Base, specular, transmission, all that stuff. While this just has this and this. Diffuse, specular. So it's a special kind of shader. It's actually really powerful. It's definitely used in production. So, anyway, right now it's set. Don't mess with this. It'll change it to something else. Just don't mess with it. Let's go to background. Right now it's set to scene background. You don't need to know about this for now. It's only going to confuse you and make the tutorial longer. But all I can say is right now you cannot choose colors. You know? Because you want to make it a color. Right now when it's scene background, it's literally going to be invisible. Which there's a reason why it has to do with compositing. But we want a color on it. So we're going to click it, change it to background color. And the background color is now set to kind of grayish white. Do not click on that. You click that, it's going to pop up something else where you're going to dump in another image and something else. Just click on the color. On Macs, it might give you an error message. Just read it carefully and just click the one, or I don't know if it was yes or no, but click the one where you think it's going to let you continue further. You just got to read the wording on it. And if it's the wrong one, then you click the other one. But it will eventually let you in. Anyway, so I want a different color, maybe something like a blue. You know, I put it here. But you see, if you notice here, nothing changed. Crank the saturation back to here. But now I change the color again. Fine. Let's change the color back. Alright, so pick the color, just get the saturation back up. And maybe like this color, maybe more pastel-ish. Maybe something like that. You know? Now it's fine. Alpha mask. Should we leave it on? Am I gonna do compositing? For now, let's just do straight renders. Yeah, should we leave it on? No. For now, turn it off. For now, just turn it off. Deal with compositing later. I'll explain what this is, but if you... No, I don't want to explain this right now. It's going to run on forever. Just turn it off. Alright, so this is your shadow color set to black. So this shader, it's gonna it's gonna make what's the right word? Well, this shader, it will allow you to manipulate the shadow that's gonna be made, and it's gonna allow you to manipulate it so that you can change the color of the shadow. So right now it's set to black, which is fine. Let's not mess with that for now. It's only when you want to get really crazy with the color scheme, then you can mess with it. For now, leave it alone. Shadow opacity, leave it alone. Backlighting, leave it alone. Diffuse, specular, leave it alone. By default, it's set to this. Alright. So, let's do a quick render. The render button is this one right here. Bring it over. Let me check my settings, which is this button here, right under Arnold right here. And if you're still fairly new to this, it's fine. Let's just go to Arnold render. It's set to default 3222. I'll explain about this later. But for now, it's just baseline settings. I'm just checking that everything's baseline, because the more you crank these settings to make it nicer and nicer, the more time it takes to render. Ray depth. Alright, ray depth. So we're under Arnold render. Alright, we're under Arnold render. Go to your ray depth. Set the diffuse to 2. Just the diffuse. Don't mess with the specular. Just the diffuse. Set it to 2. Alright. Then if you're working on a computer other than a Mac, or maybe Macs got corrected it by now, I'm not sure, but you're gonna want denoise optics. So under imagers, okay, add imager, denoise optics, not denoise this or that, denoise optics, and you're gonna automatically add it. Okay, this will just make it look, this will take away the graininess and the noise and the ugliness of it when it renders, because it's gonna look kind of ugly because our settings are set to really low. But if you add this, it does some kind of magical thing where it takes away a lot of the noise. Then you hit close. And this is what happens when we turned on the denoiser optics. Don't mess with it, leave it alone. Even just click out of it even. Alright, so did all of that. I'm gonna go to my channel box and I'm gonna set it to R so I don't keep on selecting it. And I'm gonna do a render. Let me check my view, test resolution. Right now it's set to 125 under view. Let's set it to default, which is 100. So let me just adjust the camera, zoom in a bit like that. Okay. I'm gonna do a render. Click that to render. Might take a moment because it's the first render. Alright, if you see this, it's just alright, so if you saw that, that was doing the render for the first time and relinking the textures. Do not press escape, just let it be. Alright, so here it is. I pressed over here 1 to 1. Before I had it kind of zoomed in and it looks all pixelated and ugly. But you press that, it sets to 1 to 1. Alright, so here it is. So this is the AI shadow matte. And right now it doesn't look anything different than what you would probably get with the AI regular shader, you know, the standard surface. But let's talk about this. So I set it to that bright teal color, which I kind of don't like. I'm gonna move this over here. I'm gonna make it smaller. I'm gonna make this like that. And right now I have this is set so that it's interactive rendering. If it's off, you have a little grayed out look. Anyway, this guy, my AI shadow matte, I want to grab its attribute editor because I'm going to change its color attributes. Click on it, set to more of a less see what I'm doing? So anyway, what I did was I grabbed a shadow matte, okay, and the only way to mess with it is through the attribute editor, which is here, remember? Or the property editor if you still have it connected. But I exited out to get more space. So I'm here again, attribute editor. I'm changing the color, right? Maybe bring it back up. Maybe more here. Ooh, no, I don't like that. Maybe around there. All right, maybe. Ooh, no. Whatever. I mean, it's all about what you like. And then you could change the color, any of these colors. I just chose blue. I like blue. Alright, so we got that. And it updated in real time because of this, right? Anyway. Okay, next. Alright, we set it to background. Alright. Alright. Now you're gonna experiment with the AI Shadow Matte's diffuse and specular to get a visual look that you like. So what do I mean by that? Well, the AI Shadow Matte has some extra goodies where you click on it, you go to the diffuse. But before that, I'm going to do a little check mark here so that I can take a snapshot to see the before and after and show the class. Alright, so right now I have it set to use background. I wonder what happens if I were to turn this off. Looks like nothing, right? Looks like nothing. Let me do a render. Update full scene, Control U. Sometimes when you do renders, it doesn't change anything sometimes. That's why I like to do that. It's Control U in case. Alright, so it looks like no big deal. Actually, no, it does something. So this is on with the use background. Yeah, it's not even worth it. Alright, whatever. Turn it back on. And the one that we want to work with is possibly turn on is the indirect diffuse, and I'll talk about that after. Let's turn it on to see what it does. Look at that. See that? This is before with the indirect diffuse off, and this is after turning it on. After, watch this, I'm gonna let go. Boom. You see how what it does? So this is before, which is off, and this is indirect on. So this right here, what allows it so that it will influence your objects. This wall is not just the wall. It's giving off light energy, light color. See? Before, let me just save it. So I'll let it go. Click it so I can save it. So before, after. See how it kind of illuminates the sidewall? Stuff like this is a big deal when it comes to lighting and rendering. And even here. And here. It's like a secondary light bounce in a way. That's with it turned on. Alright, and the color set to white. You could even influence the color that it's bouncing off. I'll just leave it alone and set to white. Next, specular. And this is all regarding the AI shadow matte shader. This one right here, that is being assigned to the wall. Let's turn it on. The specular. Before, after, see? See that? Before, after. It gives a nice reflection. This could barely see it. But it's there. For sure it's there. Especially if you have a sharper angle, camera angle, you see more of the reflection. But it's nice, see? Roughness is how fuzzy the reflection is. So let's say if you set to, I don't know, 0. Well, you could barely tell. Let me just undo that. I just pressed outside. There. Control Z. Sometimes Maya doesn't respond. But if you click outside and just, you know, even when you just click outside for no reason, it'll just respond. It deselects this last command. That's what I did. Alright, so we did that. Boom, boom, boom. Again, that's here. See, right now super subtle. I just meant it to be subtle. If you start cranking the intensity, let's say set it to 2. See, it's much more stronger now. See? See that? Before, after. But also the reflections is, that reflection is bouncing off secondary light back to the wall. See? See here? Before, after. You probably can't tell, but I could tell. For sure over here. So, and I would just set it back to 1. The reason why is that I don't want the scene to start to get blown out. Intensity again is how fuzzy the reflections are, and the AI shadow matte, the little reflections it causes, is much nicer looking, and what you'd expect compared to using the AI standard surface shader. In terms of the reflection, it's really strange like that, but it's really good, this thing. Alright, so alright, we went over that. Boom. Next, we're gonna create an AI mix shader, and that thing is gonna connect something called the Ambient Occlusion shader. And that Ambient Occlusion shader is gonna mix with this shader, which I'll go over now. Alright, so here we are, where I have the model here. I'm turning off the IPR. And this is with what we call a ambient occlusion mixed with the original shaders. So this is what it looks like without the ambient occlusion. Okay. And with the ambient occlusion, got a nice contact shadow. without with. So it does make a big difference. You know, it feels like it's making contact. Whereas this, even though it has a shadow here, it feels still kind of floaty. And also here you got a nice little gradation, you know? See? See that? That makes a world of difference. But getting there is takes concentration. Long as you go step by step and not skip anything that I do, you'll be able to make it. If you even skip one thing, it's not gonna work. And just forgetting certain dials, it's not gonna work. Yeah, it's really that picky. All right. So here's the hypershade. Oh God, what did I just do? All right, hypershade, and this is what you'll be making. I have it selected. I'm just trying to organize it. Pressing that one right there will relink everything. Now, I know this might look super intimidating, especially when you're learning for the first time. And I understand. I'll explain exactly what's happening. We'll go step by step. And long as we go step by step and not too fast, it's definitely possible. And the scary thing is that it gets way more complicated than this when you get at a real professional level. This is just like, I don't know, mid-level at best. It gets really, really complicated. Yeah. So this is like still a moderate level, you know, beginner moderate. All right. Brief overview. You have all these lines connecting. You know, that makes it look kind of intimidating, but it's basically just drag and drag and drop, like drag it and touch it there, drag it and touch it there, and I'll explain exactly what and why. Let me just explain what we got going on. This here is the sidewall shader, meaning sidewall shader right here, sidewall shader that is applied to the side walls. That sidewall shader, okay, which this is its JPEG image, okay, that's pumped into the base color of my sidewall shader, and that sidewall shader is being pumped into a new shader that you're going to learn called a mix shader. I even named it AI mix shader for sidewall. AI mix shader for sidewall shader. You know, let me type in for the sidewall shader. AI mix shader for the sidewall shader. All right. So what is this AI mix shader? It's over here. Okay. I named it AI mix shader. What it does is it will mix my sidewall shader, shader 1, and it's going to mix with another shader called the Ambient Occlusion shader. And you'd assume since the Ambient Occlusion shader, you know, it's a shader, you think you'll go into shader number 2 or 1 or whatever, like one of these slots, you know, because the sidewall shader is in one of the slots. So, you know, but it's not. you put the ambient occlusion shader under the mix weight. Okay, mix weight. Before that, let's talk about the ambient occlusion. So here's ambient occlusion. Basically, it's contact shadows. Contact shadows, contact shadows, contact shadows. And that will be overlaid on top of the original shader, which is a sidewall shader. And in order to overlay on top of the sidewall shader, it needs to be mixed in. And you have to use the AI mix shader for that to take place. And it's going to be mixed in under the weight, and not shader 1 or 2. So this is the ambient occlusion shader. And it's being used, this guy, ambient occlusion shader, to get those shadows on the contact surfaces. This one shader is being used on my AI mix shader for the side wall. I have another AI mix shader for my top surface shader. Remember, because I have additional shader just for the top surface. This is my top surface shader. Oh yeah, that's my mix shader for my top surface where it's going to do the mixing. And remember, this is my top surface shader, cube top surface. This is my side wall shader for the sides, cube top surface for just the top. So, you know, I need a mix shader for my side wall shader. I need a mix shader for my top surface shader. And I also need a mix shader for my infinity wall, because any surface that I want to have those contact shadows like this and this, they need to have the ambient occlusion and the mix shader as well. So for example, this here, mix shader for the infinity wall. And the infinity wall has the ambient occlusion, that contact shadow thing. And it's also pumped into my infinity wall mix shader. And the infinity wall mix shader has my AI shadow mat. Remember the AI shadow mat? This one? Well, I had to pump my shadow mat shader into the infinity wall and then mix the ambient occlusion under the mix. And unfortunately, to confuse you further, I also need to make an AI standard surface. I named it AI standard surface for infinity wall mixing. Because, don't ask me why, in order for this to happen, for the ground, strictly speaking the ground, it has to be a little bit more complicated. So here's my AI mix shader for my infinity wall, right? And shader 1 holds my shadow matte shader. Shader 1 is connected with my shadow matte shader. Then shader 2 is connected with my AI standard surface for infinity wall mixing. In this specific situation, I need this setup for the infinity wall. Whereas, for example, oh, and I also have the ambient occlusion pumped into the mix for the infinity wall. Now, to compare that to my AI mix shader for the top surface shader, I only have my cube top surface shader pumped in. I don't have anything else pumped into the second slot. It's just my shader here and my ambient occlusion here. That's it. Same thing for him. My mix shader for my side wall. Shader 1 has my side wall shader, and on top of it has my ambient occlusion shader. You know what? Let me name this. I'm gonna name it mix shader for the sidewall. That's it. I don't want to say mix shader and then sidewall shader. It just sounds nuts. Alright, let me just rename this. Just take away the shader at the end. AI mix shader for top surface. That sounds so much better. Alright, this one has it. This one doesn't have it. AI mix shader for infinity wall. Makes sense. Good. Alright. So I'm gonna start this from scratch. I'm gonna delete all this hard work. Oh boy. How should I do this? Let me save this first. File, increment and save. File, save as. Okay, I saved it. And then now I'm gonna start deleting things. Or I'm gonna open up the older file. Yeah. File, Maya 2023. So I stopped the recording and I just opened up my older file before any of that work was done. There's some problems that I need to address because other students will most likely run into it. Alright. So this part right here is exactly where I left off on the previous tutorial. That tutorial was with the grass. Okay. And now I'm gonna start making those mixed shaders. And you will start to see problems. Problems that you cannot avoid at this moment. Okay, so I mentioned the AI mix shader. So I'm gonna go press the tab key, T-A-B, tab. I'm gonna type in AI mix shader. Again, that was using the tab key, which is right above the caps key. And I typed in that, and then I clicked on it, and I got my first AI mix shader. Oh, what is this for? AI mix shader for the cube top surface. AI mix shader for the cube top surface. Okay, good. Next. Let me just check out my naming. Cube top surface shader. Try planner. Second example. It's fine. Sidewall shader. Okay. That's the image. Fine. Okay. Then I also need to make another AI mix shader. So I'm going to press the tab key type in AI mix. So I made another one. I'm gonna name it, damn it, AI mix shader for the side wall. Good. So I made my AI mix shader for the top surface, AI mix shader for the side wall. I need to make one more. I'm gonna click tab, AI mix shader, click it, click on it again, press the space bar for the infinity wall. Move AI mix shader for the infinity wall. That's for later on. Alright, so we got this, this, and this. All set up, ready to go. Next, press tab, AI, ambient. So I typed in AI, AM for ambient, and it already knew what to look for. So that's AI, AM, and this will already pop out. Click on it. Here is my ambient occlusion. You know what? I'm gonna name it Ambient Occlusion for everything, because I only need to make one of this to influence him, to influence him, and to influence him to get that crevice shading. Before, when I was learning, I used to make one for him, and one for him, and which was not good because it can make problems later. Now this part is super important. I'm gonna click on the ambient occlusion for everything. I'm gonna go to my attribute editor for it. Click on it, make sure it's highlighted in red. Now in here, look at the fall off, only the fall off. Don't confuse it with this or this. It is 1, 2, third one down. I repeat, third one down. Type in 0.3. What does that mean, fall off, 0.3? Well, what that means is that the fall off means how high does this shadow gradient go up? See? It's at 0.3. That's the measurement. And see how much is going across here? It's at 0.3. That's the fall off. That's the fall off for the shadow contact. And you could vary it to make it more or less. Right now it's at 0.3, a nice little contact shadow. So that's what the fall off is. Then leave everything else alone, only the fall off 0.3. Next, super important thing, do not forget to do this. We're gonna reverse the colors. We'll make that black, make that white. Don't ask me why, it's just do this and you're good. Okay. At least in this situation, this specific shading scenario. Okay. Again, this was for the ambient occlusion. Fall off 0.3, switch the black and white, make the white black, make the black white, and that's it. Make sure. Next, we're gonna pump this ambient occlusion shader into here, here, here. How do we do that? Well, this out color, click on the plus sign, RGB. When you mix, R stands for red, G is green, B is blue. You're going to get the out color R red. You're going to hover over the green circle, left click on it, and now you pull out a string. Left click and hold and pull. Remember, that's the out color red. You're going to drag it, connect it to the mix of the AI mix shader for the top cube surface. Then, same thing. The AI ambient occlusion, the red, left click on it, drag, connect to the mix. Next, same thing. Ambient occlusion, red, out color R, drag to the mix. Connect. That's how we got that crazy looking network of things. Out color red. Mix, mix, mix. Next. Okay, what do I do from here? Alright. Oh yeah. Let's connect our mix shader for the top, the cube top surface. Because this is a mixer, you need things to mix it with. We're gonna mix the cube top surface, its shader, which is here, right here. Do not disconnect that. This guy right here, I'm gonna pump it into here. Make sure to understand what you are pumping. Oh, by the way, how do we get all these shaders? Well, you select it. You select your model. Or you can just go here. I zoomed in, which is pressing the command, or also known as Alt. You grab the cube top surface, and you grab the side wall with the shift, and you know, so you got the cube top surface, the side wall. That's how you grab those. And then the ambient occlusion, mix shader, all, you know, each time you click, you gotta hold the shift key. Mix shader for the side wall, mix shader for the infinity, mix shader for the cube, right? And you got the ambient occlusion. Then you click on this, input and output. See, that's how you grab it. In case you're wondering. Or, well, if you grab that, it's only gonna grab one shader. So anyway, so you do that. If you forgot how to grab those shaders and show it, it's that guy. I need to do that in case people forget. Anyway, so where the hell was I? I'm just selecting by left click and hold and marquee select. Alright, so back to my not my infinity wall. Not my side wall. My cube top surface. So I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna drag it there. Move it. Ooh. I'm gonna just organize. I'm gonna put my side wall next in line. And grab my infinity wall to be last in line. This is not your ambient occlusion shader. It's just a. It's just a. It's just not. It's the SG. Anything that says SG, or yeah, just that's not it. But you don't want to delete it. Do not get confused. This is ambient occlusion. Because when you grab it, you see these dials again. But if you were to grab this, that kind of looks like it, well, whatever, it didn't change. Anyway, this is it. It'll say it right here too. Alright, cube top surface. AI mix shader for the cube top surface. Here's my original cube top surface shader. I'm gonna hover over here. Make sure you have your AI mix shader selected for the cube top surface. Confirm it that it's over here in your attribute editor. AI mix shader, cube top surface, make sure. Then you hover over the cube top surface. You middle mouse click and hold. That turns into a little plus sign if you notice. Again, middle mouse click and hold. Now you're gonna drag it over to shader 1. Let go. Boom. See that? I'll do it for the next one. Here's my sidewall shader. And I need to find the mixer for my sidewall shader. Here it is. I'm gonna go over to my sidewall shader. I'm gonna middle mouse click and hold. And it turns into a plus sign. Drag it over, drop it onto shader 1. Let go. Boom. So activate it. And you see how it's connected? Shader 1. Next, I need to my AI mix shader for the infinity wall. Okay. Oh, I don't have my infinity wall shader with me. Fine. Let me go back up here. Oh, I didn't even make it. Right, this is the one that I brought back. Damn. Now I gotta import the infinity wall all over again. Alright, 1 second. Alright, so I brought in my infinity wall. Now I just gotta make the... What the... God, that's annoying. This junk here is the infinity wall stuff. I don't need that. I'll just move it out of the way for now. Okay. So I need to make the shader for him. I'm gonna do a tab, type in AI shadow matte, click. Okay, AI shadow matte for the infinity wall. Then I'm gonna select my infinity wall. See, it's in green. While it's selected, I'm gonna hover over my AI shadow matte for the infinity wall. Click and hold the right click. And assign material to viewport selection. Hover over it, let go. Now I assigned it. Then I'm going to change the color, background from scene to background. I went over that before. Just gotta do it myself again. Alright, good. Set the color, fine. Alright, so I made it. Now I'm gonna just kind of organize and move things over. Alright, so here's my AI mixer for the infinity wall. Because I'm gonna mix my shadow matte. Okay, so I first select my mixer for the infinity wall. Make sure you know what you're selecting. Now I'm gonna look at my AI shadow matte. And I'm gonna middle mouse click on it. Ooh, let me reselect that. Okay. I'm gonna middle mouse click on my AI shadow matte and hold. Turns to a plus sign. carefully drag it over to my first shader. Only shader 1. It is important. Let go. There you go. Alright, so my AI shader for the infinity wall. Okay, it also has my ambient occlusion. Now, I need to make one last thing. I'm going to press Tab, AI, Standard, Surface. Click. I'm going to name him. I just click on the naming, spacebar, for the infinity wall mixer. I mean, it looks asinine to write it out, but it definitely helps. Next, after I make it, make sure to set the weight to 0. The base, set the specular weight to 0. The reason why is, I can't really explain it. Just set it to 0. It's just being used as a filler in a way. Just weight 0, specular 0, that way it does not influence the color or the specularity. That's the only way to explain it. It's just used as a filler. So, anyway, AI shadow matte. No, I don't need that. Oh, here you go. AI mix shader for the infinity wall. I'm going to hover over my AI standard surface that I just made for an infinity wall mixer. Middle mouse, click and hold. Drag it over to my shader, my AI mix shader for the infinity wall, over to shader 2. Click. So now my AI mix shader for the infinity wall is set up. My shadow matte on top, my AI standard on the bottom, mix weight has my ambient occlusion. And everything's set. That's literally everything. So long as you go step by step, you can't go wrong. Next, this is where there's gonna be some minor problems. Just to quickly review, we had set up 2 shaders. One shader for just for the side walls, because I wanted 4K and I wanted it to have its own UV tile. One for the top, its own shader, because it has its own UV tile that is UV linked. Now, I have to realign some things, because we just made several new shaders. I want to grab the top surface, its faces. So I'm gonna do it by going to my UV editor here. This is the poly modeling tab shelf. UV editor, click, move it over, select my object, okay, and I don't want the sidewalls. I'm gonna go to my UV set. Oh, here, cube top surface, click, and here's my top surface. Right click over it, choose face. Again, right click, choose face, let go. Highlight, select all of it. That means oh, this again, God. Okay, I know I fixed it. I know this I can fix. Good, yeah, good. If you just notice how I was here, right? And I selected it, right? But if I double check on my sidewalls, it also selects my sidewall. This caused me over an hour and a half of problems. But now you don't have to deal with that. If this happens to you, double check. select your top surface, but I want you to go and double check your sidewall. There's a chance it too will be selected for whatever reason. This needs to be deselected. The way you do that is you press and hold the control, and up here you press at the same time, you press and hold the left click, drag out, let go. It deselects those faces that was automatically selected for no good reason. That's if this happens to you, this is what you do. And let me go double check back to my top surface UVs. Oh crap. I'm gonna select those faces. Please tell me it's not selected. Okay, good, it's not. Okay, it's not selected. I guess that worked. It worked. For whatever reason, it worked. Just be mindful, double check. And if it is selected, do that. Control, left click, drag, and deselect it. So now we have it, only that selected. Since only that is selected, I can safely go back here and make sure that it is selected. Whatever you do, don't click in here, you're going to deselect it. I'm going to press down Alt, or also known as Option. And I'm gonna move around, find my, right here, cube top surface. While this is still selected. Verified, cube top surface, AI mix shader. Click and hold the right mouse button. Assign material to viewport selection. Now let me verify. I'm going to select the mix shader for the cube top surface. Click and hold right mouse button. Select objects with material. Ooh, look at that. Good. Good. Verified. Next. And I'm going to hover over my object. It's still in component mode because it's changed of colors. Go back to object. That was right click, hold, go to object. Now I'm going to pull up my UV editor again, which is here. While this is still selected, UV sets, sidewalls UV. Good. Now I'm going to hover over, right click, and hold, select face mode. See, changed? Left click outside and drag and hold, select. Move the UV editor over, pull up my hypershade. While it's still selected, I'm going to carefully go over to my AI mix shader for the side wall, hover over it, right mouse button, click and hold, assign material to viewport selection. Let go. And when I bring it here it is. I'm going to click outside and I'm just going to verify. I want this to be object mode first because that's the only, well, that's the recommended way. Right click and hold, object mode. Now I'm just going to select my mix shader for the side wall, right click and hold, select object with material. What the? Fine. Here it is for the side wall, right there. UV set, cube. Let me go back to my cube top surface. Chances are it's going to show that selected as well. And it did. God, I fixed this. So it looks as though it also... Oh, I know why. Yeah. Okay. We have to go to Windows, Relationship Editor, light UV linking, UV centric. Okay, again, Windows, Relationship Editor, UV linking, UV centric. Bring this over. This should look familiar. All right. Cube, this is the MicroWorld cube. That's the geometry, the 3D mesh, because it has a little icon. Now, cube top surface UV, I'm going to click on that. And it has, this is a shader, the AI Mix shader. That's the icon for it. Cube side walls UV. Okay. It seems to be aligned correctly. All right, cube top surface. I have it selected, but I don't have my AI Mix shader for the top surface. Should be here. All right. Let me go back here. This is a great way to learn to troubleshoot. So I'm gonna grab my AI Mix shader for the side wall, right click and hold. I'm gonna double check select objects with material. See, this is that problem where it selects everything. And I know this is fixable because I just did it. So it's getting confused. Alright, let's do this real time. It's good to see that. Now if I go here, okay, I'm going to, what am I looking at? The side wall, right? The side wall mix shader, but it's also selecting the top surface faces. So if I go control, hold down control, left click and drag. Oh, you bastard. Alright, side wall. Okay. Top surface. Alright, it's not letting me. Fine. Cube top surface. Okay. No. Let me just right click, object mode. I just clicked out. Right click, object mode, and just click anywhere to deselect it. I'm gonna just double check. Cube top surface. No, I need that mix shader. Where is it? Where are you? Alright, here. AI Mix shader for the cube top surface. Hover over it, right click, select objects with material. Yeah, it disconnected it. So select it. Go to my UV editor. I'm gonna select my top surface, right click, hold, choose face, select that. Let me check something. It also selected that. Let me hold down control, left click and drag. Okay, it deselected it. I go back, so again that was left click, control, left click and drag, I deselected it. I'm gonna go back to my cube top surface, click it. I'm gonna select it. Just testing things. Oh, now it worked. See that? Side walls, deselected. Top surface, selected. Okay. And as you can see, I have it selected. I'm gonna go over to my cube top surface AI mix shader, and I'm gonna right click on it, assign material to viewport selection. Okay. Now just click here anywhere outside so it doesn't select anything. I'm gonna select my AI mix shader for the cube top surface. Right click and hold. Select objects with material. Okay, I verified. Good. Now it came back. See? AI mix shader for the cube top surface. AI mix shader for the side wall. Good. Good. It was just a little glitch. You just have to be a little bit patient. I'm gonna go grab my cube top surface UV just to verify it's connected to my cube top surface texture, which is also linked to my AI mix shader for the cube top surface. Now I'm gonna try to verify cube side walls UV, and it's verified connected to side wall texture. So just to double make sure, I'm going to my AI mix shader for the sidewall, select it, right click and hold, select objects with material. Boom. Yeah, so that wasn't really a glitch. I just panicked for a bit. It just had to assign it for the second time, meaning for the top, and it just knew automatically. It automatically loaded. So we got this MicroWorld cube, the mesh. It's separate UV for the top surface, separate UV for the side walls. The top surface UV is connected to the cube top surface texture, and that thing is connected up the chain to the AI mix shader for the cube top surface. Then I have my cube sidewalls UV, and that is connected to my mix shader for the sidewall. See? Good. And just to show, see how it's gonna correspond. If I click that, boom. If I click that, boom. Click, boom. Oh, right click, object mode. Again, I'm hovering over this, right click, hold object mode. Good. Okay. Close. That's everything. Now I'm gonna do a quick render. Okay, so I have my ambient occlusion making contact here, but not here. Oh, because I didn't assign the shader. That's another thing. I spent an hour, over an hour, wondering why my infinity wall didn't have the contact shadow, and I just realized I didn't even apply it. So be mindful of that. You could be doing this for years and do something like that. So let's go to my AI mix shader for the infinity wall, and you could just literally middle mouse over, hold, drag and drop to the infinity wall. Okay, select it, right mouse, click and hold. This is for the infinity wall mix shader, right click and hold. Select objects. Good. I just want to verify. So now I'm gonna save a thumbnail. Please work. please. Good. Faster, good. Alright, there. Before, I only had the contact shadows on my polygon cube, and after. There you go. So that's it. Yeah. If you're a new learner, you might think, you know, that, oh, I don't want to do this, blah, blah, blah. Well, these things are industry standard, you know. If I didn't teach this, people will be like, how can you not teach ambient occlusion and layered shaders or mixed shaders? You know, those are fundamental things. And I could be a cop-out and not share it and save myself a lot of stress, but you know, gotta have integrity and show this stuff. So yeah, at least this should be taught, because it's good stuff, even though it can be stressful. But at least I'm showing what went wrong, how to troubleshoot it, and how to stay calm. So yeah. And this same thing can be applied to, for example, any of the other objects, like the other landmass, like this one. As a matter of fact, let me do that right now. Before, after. Well, this was already had the contact ambient occlusion, so it's not necessary before. Part 1, part 2. Now I'm going to add that. So, let me find my, you know what, I'm just going to grab that. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to press this guy. Graph materials. Boom. Here it is. Just double checking. Good. Good. Alright, so here's my mountain stump shader. I'm going to press tab in here. I'm going to type in AI mix. Click on it. Made my AI mix shader. I'm going to move over. Alright, remember moving over, panning around is holding the command or option or alt and middle mouse. That's why you need that 3-button mouse. I'm going to name it space for the tree stump. AI mix shader for the tree stump. Then I need to grab my mountainous stump shader. I'm going to hover over it. Make sure that I have this activated, that I can see it in my attribute editor. Then also make sure my mountainous tree stump is here. I'm going to middle mouse hold. Carefully drag it over to shader 1, let go. Now it's connected. Uh-oh, where's my ambient occlusion, right? Well, this is another good review. I'm gonna make sure I have my AI mix shader for the tree stump that I just made, that I just connected, selected. I'm gonna go over to my ambient occlusion, remember that? I'm gonna, oh, by the way, this is this. That's why it's highlighted. Press shift, left click. Now I have my ambient occlusion and this, which is this. I'm gonna press this, not this. This only works when you have the model selected. Press this. Boom, brings back everything, see? This alone is a good review. Now, here's my ambient occlusion, see? But it also brought along the mixed shaders. But the other connections that the mixed shaders had, it's not showing. You see that? That's because it's not, doesn't mean it's disconnected. It just means that it's not showing, basically, but it is still connected. Anyway, ambient occlusion. So, alright. My mix shader for the tree stump. My ambient occlusion for everything. I'm going to the out color, crack it open, zoom out a bit. The out color R, that one where I was plugging into everything else under mix for the mix shader. I'm gonna left click on it again, drag, and connect it to the mix of my AI mix shader for the tree stump. Now I need to assign it. I'm not making that mistake again. AI mix shader for a tree stump. I'm gonna middle mouse, click on top of it. It's gonna turn into a plus sign. Carefully hover over the mountain, let go. Turn black. That's because it has a mix shader. That's why the viewport doesn't know how to deal with it. But in the render, here it is. Boom, boom. Render, update. All right, before, after. It looks like it made it a little bit darker. Might not be the most optimal. Well, I mean, I can work with this. Just gotta add more strength to the lighting and I'll be fine. Now I'm gonna do another render from the top down. Maybe something like this. Render, update full scene. Alright. Boom, boom. There's that nice contact. This area I would expect to see a little bit more. That's fine. Alright. Okay. Then I'm gonna call it the end of that tutorial. But let me just go over real quickly. Key points. Ambient occlusion. Shader. Set the fall off to 0.3. Flip the white to black. Flip the black to white. When you connect it to the mix shaders, you crack open the out color. You grab left click and drag the out R as in red. You pump it into the mix. You pump into the mix. You pump into the mix of all the mix shaders, including for a tree stump. Okay? This one guy. Alright? Then, for every mix shader, the shader 1 houses the previous main shader, the main AI shader that was on your model, you know, because this was the mountainous tree stump shader, which was previously on the tree stump. But now, this thing is pumped into shader 1, just like how You know what? Let me grab this, and this. All the AI mix shaders. I'm gonna click on this, input, output. Boom. That way you get to see everything for it. Yeah. So the alright, so the tree stump, okay. And put that no. Let's go back to here then. Alright, the cube. The AI mix shader for the cube. Here's the ambient occlusion to the mix. Then the cube top surface shader. That gets pumped into the shader 1. The tree stump, like I mentioned before, its shader gets pumped into shader 1. The sidewalls, its sidewall shader gets pumped into shader 1. The infinity wall, okay, its infinity wall matte shadow that had the blue, it gets pumped into shader 1. And specifically just for the infinity wall AI mix shader, like I said, you need the AI standard, made a new one, and I named it AI standard surface for the infinity wall mixer. And that gets pumped into shader 2. This is the only difference. This guy has 2 shaders. And this guy, you need to set the weight to 0, set the weight to 0. This is like what I said, it's a filler shader. It's just using some of the properties of a standard surface. It's just a filler, but you need it though. So that's basically what that is. And then after that, always make sure that you apply the new shader to the surface. And then when it comes to the UV linking, just carefully relink things. It may look like it's not working like how I showed in real time, but you just have to update it and relink it using the UV texture editor. Like for example, select the model. Right click on it, go to face, select specifically the faces. And right now, good, perfect example. I selected the faces here, but selected the whole face. Remember that issue? You go to UV sets. You go to the sidewall. Here it is. Hold down Control, left click and drag, deselect it. The top surface, well, yeah, it's the same thing. But for sure, I know I showed that it gets resolved. You just have to select the face, assign it to its corresponding AI mix shader. For example, the top surface. AI mix shader for the top surface, assign it. And then it's going to look like it's assigned for both surfaces. But you have to just go in, grab the side walls, and go here and assign it to the side wall. And then make sure go to Windows, Relationship Editors, Light Linking, UV Linking, like whether it be texture centric or UV centric, and you just make sure to link things up. See? Mix shader for the cube, mix shader for the side wall. Like Maya will know once you start assigning it, it will know, and you just manually go in, relink it in the relationship editor. All right, I just proved that it can and will be done. You just have to be methodical, thorough, and go step by step. All right, that's about it. And not get overwhelmed. Make sure to name everything. and go step by step exactly like I mentioned. And when you run into the same situation as me, just patiently watch and apply it. And always save in increments. Alright, that's it.